Hi there, welcome to the channel, welcome back if you're a return viewer, and today another book review, this time on this book, Things I Learned at Art School by Megan Dunn. Now, Megan Dunn is a media figure here in New Zealand. She is a writer, a commentator and a art critic. She's most often found on the morning programs of Radio New Zealand, commenting on art or society or her own writings, and that's where I first heard of her, but it turns out she's got quite a history, and this book is a memoir by her. Now, it takes the form of quite a number of small and large and various lengths of essays that she's written. Some of these essays have been published before in magazines or online, so that explains why some of them kind of start repeating the same information. Anyway, these essays start about her childhood in the 80s and run all the way through to a few years ago. So it's basically her personal memoir, like I said, and the essays themselves take various forms. Some of them are just straight essays, just writing about her childhood or art school days. Other ones she adopts a structure to them, like one in the form of a letter, one in the form of lists, one in the form of a recipe, and so on. So some of them are quite cleverly done, and she always diverges off and digresses off into other subjects and to make her point or illustrate her feelings about something. The childhood ones are very interesting, kind of resonated with me. She's a few years younger than me, but a lot of the same things were happening in her childhood. And she talks about her relationship with her mother. Her mother was a solo parent for quite a long time, and they have a close relationship, of course. And she talks about some of the toys and television that she watched as a child. Her toys include a Barbie doll and strawberry shortcake, and she does have quite a long section about her craze with the Smurfs. Now, the little blue figurines used to get here in the early 80s at BP service stations, and I dreamed of collecting them. I only ever ended up getting about 3 or 4 of them in reality, and I remember Smurfs being quite a obsession of mine for a brief while when I was about 9 or 10, and she and her friend in the book have a similar obsession with them. I'm not sure what we saw in them at the time, but when she was a child, she had the American cartoon version, which was a little later than when I was interested in Smurfs. So anyway, as we go through her childhood, she lives with her mother, and then later in her teens she lives with her father in a different part of the country near Wellington. Her mother and her lived in Huntly, and then she gets a student loan and goes to study at art school, and she develops a repertoire of video art. She edits videotapes, edits bits of movies and with other stuff that she's filmed, and creates these kind of video artworks. Now, it's not quite clear how well received these are. I think reading between the lines, they weren't very well received at all, but she lived the art school lifestyle, which is kind of like a bohemian existence with plenty of drink and drugs, and she lives that way with her friends, and that takes up about a quarter of the book. You find out all the people that come in and out of her life, the friends she makes, her tutors at art school, and so on. And then after that, she takes some other jobs, and the one that she makes a lot of essays about is a job in the sex industry, and not what you think. She actually ends up being a receptionist and kind of bartender at a brothel in Auckland, and she talks about all the women that work there, the customers, and all the strange goings on, and the odd things that happen in that industry. And that's 2/3 of the book, and then it was starting to get a bit sameness. I think there's a little too many essays in this book, really. She could have edited it a little bit more. It was starting to get like names, dates, names, people, it was starting to get like that. And then the last section of the book is about the last 10, 15, 20% of the book is her retelling the story of the when she lost her mother. Her mother became very sick. She had some type of illness which only like 2% of people get really seriously, and she was that unlucky 2%. And her mother is sent to a hospital and ends up dying in the intensive care unit. And this section of the book was really different. It was really well written. It was really powerful. As she wanders the corridors of the hospital, she looks at the art on the wall and thinks about that, and how many of the artworks were donated by people who have since died, or were relatives of people who died at the hospital. Thinks about her mother, and all the feelings come up, and she writes it really, really well. So there's the last section of the book kind of redeemed the rest of it, which was kind of washing by me. It's very powerful, the last section, and I felt quite moved by it. The rest of the book is starting to fade from my memory already. It's been about a week since I finished reading it, but it's that last section which remains with me. So that's why I am saying this book is quite good. As a memoir, it's fairly average, fairly ordinary, but the last section kind of really hammers home a strong point. And that is Things I Learned at Art School by Megan Dunn. Now, that is what I just finished. I'm currently reading two things. First one is this, Damascus Station. It finally came out in paperback a couple of months ago in the UK edition. Prior to that, it was only available in US hardcover. This is a spy thriller with the background of the Syrian civil war. I'm only a couple of chapters into it so far. And I'm also reading Cory Doctorow's new book. He had a Kickstarter, and as part of that, I got a ebook of it, and it is Red Team Blues. I've read the first chapter of it last night, and it was really good. Now I'm debating internally whether to read more of Damascus Station or continue on with Red Team Blues. I'm sure you'll find out soon. So that is all today. Things I Learned at Art School by Megan Dunn. Like I probably should have told you, it is a New Zealand book written by a New Zealander. She actually does go overseas for a stint, but that seems to be almost entirely left out of this book. She actually went to England and studied how to become a writer, which I thought would be important in a memoir, but for some reason she didn't put it in. We'll never know what exactly happened over there, I guess. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Have a good day, and goodbye.